Keefe D, you know that trial coming up, man. It's around the corner, man. And he officially came out with his defense. He's saying that, Diddy, he put a hit out on you and Tupac, and that's the reason why Tupac got killed in Vegas. So, yeah, man. How you feel about that?
Well, first thing first. I mean, that conversation been out there. He put his truth out there. A lot of other people put their truth out there. Me personally, if it wasn't already out there, I wouldn't have no comment on it. But since it's there, I tell you this. When I first paroled back in the day, I used to keep a box at the Staples Center. So I'm at the Laker game, fucking with a bitch here and there, got some bitches with me. I step out for a little fresh air. I see Keefe D. Keefe D was spooked. First thing he told me was they didn't have nothing to do with the killing of my homie Buntry. Now, I responded to Keefe D and said, shit, if I thought that, I'd be on you already. And he said, but I'm going to give you something that's real true, and I've been wanting to tell you because we've been knowing each other, since we was kids. So Keefe D was like, look, I need the money. Puffy and them supposed to gave me $1 million. They gave us most of the money or half of the money. And that's how everything unraveled for is what happened in Vegas. At that time, I'm on parole. I look to the left, look to the right. The whole place is packed. So I'm like, I gotta go take a piss. Let's have this conversation in the restroom. He was like, man, I ain't going in that restroom with you. And good thing he didn't, because even though we was friends, but if a motherfucker pays you to kill us, I got a bullet into my skull, and one of the best friends I had ever had in life is Pac, and he ain't here. I'm gonna beat the fuck out that nigga in that restroom. My blood was boiling. Somebody used to always say, but at the same time, I am an intelligent, wise man and a businessman. Since I can't do nothing to him, I might as well get him to answer some questions. So I doubled back on him and said, what you mean? He said, well, look, Puffy used to come to the hood. He said, you can ask James. Him and James always been good friends. James is the one who went through some things and been tampered with. But it's not about James getting tampered with. It's about the conversation Keefe D told me that what he told James. Guess they baby mamas is best friends. So Rat James, what Keefe D said, he told Rat James that, look, it's big money in this. Only thing Puffy want to do is pay $1 million to have both of them killed. He told me that. He said it was, according to him, he said it was security that accepted money, participated in it, and it was so-called homies. So he laid it out to me in a way that he's spilling his guts to me, saying it wasn't just him, it wasn't just Puffy. He named names, he named people. And usually when people name names the way he was naming names, I believe him, because he wasn't talking just to be talking. I felt he was also coming straight because there was a big war behind that. A war that they lost. And I think it was a war that destroyed their neighborhood. So that's being said, I know what I know from being there. I know what I know later on when people told lies or never told me the truth. I know that later on when I found out certain people was suspect in assassination of Tupac and attempted assassination on me. I know from conversations that if somebody was a suspect, one of the first things they should have did was told me. I know what Frank told me. I know what I had to go through to basically have the homies find Frank and pretty much kidnap Frank. I wouldn't use the word kidnap, but made Frank drive back to my house in Louisville just to have a conversation with me. I know that Frank also told me that the reason why he wasn't asking his phone or his walkie-talkie is because the head of security told him don't, and if he come back to the house, something's gonna happen to him. Beat up, maybe killed. So he said that's why he was avoiding us. I know when I talked to Frank, I was aggressive rather, to get the truth. I know when I asked Frank why he didn't carry his gun. I asked Frank why he didn't tell us that he wasn't carrying his gun. I asked Frank, even you carrying your gun for your own protection, you definitely would need your firearm if you're doing security for Pac. And I know that Puffy got to be one nervous motherfucker right now. And it looks like it's going to be the trial of the century.
In real time, did you know that it was a hit on you and Pop? Did anybody tell you anything?
In real time, no one did. So this is the thing that bothers me the most. Getting into it with somebody, no big deal. Having enemies, no big deal. Going to war, no big deal. Getting shot, we all know what we signed up for. But it's a problem when if you're doing security and you off duty and you getting paid to protect my artists, do your best to protect my artists. If you getting paid to do security, which you was, and if it's true that the police tell you that these off-duty police officers who doing security can't carry their firearms, it should have been brought to the owner of death row, which is me. And I always say that because I could have talked to the mayor, I could have talked to David Chasnow, Oscar Goodman, with Rex Bell, who runs Vegas. Or I could have said, recommend some guys with their CCW can carry a gun to do security for Tupac. But no one never told me. I never found about none of this stuff until now while I'm in prison. Nobody never told me that they made those calls until I seen the indictment think it was page 69 or whatever when they said that. The thing that bothered me the most is when certain people supposed to be friends of mine and Tupac who participated for the other side. It's not surprising if you read the Bible, Judas took 30 pieces of silver to portray Jesus. Even though we came up with the idea and Pac did an album and he was Black Jesus talking about himself, but neither one of us is Jesus or God. Now, if they can do that to Jesus, we're just a man. But it was the fact that it happened. The worst part about it is that when the receipts came back that Snoopy participated, when the receipts came back that Brad James knew this firsthand but never told none of us. I found out something crazy too. When I was in the county jail, I don't know, it was the lawyer, the black lawyer, talked like, his name gonna come to me, but he talks like with overbite. Thor, we're calling for his mama. Oh yeah, Trump, that dude. So this dude goes in because he great friends with Puffy, really good friends with Puffy, and comes in and not only did he try to dirty the investigation of the case, he tried to make Tupac look bad. And I refused to talk to this idiot. He was about to interview a lawyer, this crackhead lawyer who turned out to be working for the police by the guy name was Thaddeus Culpepper. Since they was frat brothers, he gonna interview him. That he didn't know me or Tupac. He just met me in 2015, 16. So he didn't know us in the 90s. But since they were cute frat brothers, they talked. And it bothered me to the point where he even interviewed a homie. This dude, my little homie. This dude who I really have love for. And this dude told on himself. He basically told this Crump dude how he blocked us in, or how he came to the car and smoke was out the car. Well, that part wasn't true. I damn sure once stumped over a motherfucking steering wheel. It was real active. It was a lot of active shooters. It wasn't just one shooter. And I got shot in the head because I grabbed Tupac and pulled him down. I was on top of him. He wasn't on top of me. But when we got ready to get ourselves together and did what we was going to deal with, it was more active shooting. But everybody did this for show and tell. Everybody told their stories for small change. Every person told his stories who never met Tupac and really been Tupac and really didn't know me. Everybody talk about Pac and myself, and most of these people who pound on their chest like they know everything, saying their name is not important because what they talking about is not important because they're not important. But they tell a story and they never met Pac in their whole life. They wasn't there. Then they come around to Death Row at the end of 2001. Pac was already moved on. But at the same time, when you put all these pieces together, the paper trail is so deep because you'll see these group of people still cool with this group of people. You see this group of people really work with this group of people. And anytime you take a lieutenant of the sheriff's department to change the whole investigation up, and in control of the whole investigation, you will never get the truth. But they use that incident of me losing my best friend, me losing almost my life, me getting sent to prison because of that, to bring down my life. I've been through a lot, but I know this. If God gives you a crown, man can't remove it. I know this. Tupac died, but still living. I know the bottom feeders, guppies as you should call them, did not die, but they never started living. Still today, they can't get noticed that they speak about Tupac and myself. That's a curse. I'm quite sure their karma is so deep that most people lost everything. They lost their self-dignity. They lost their respect. They lost their ugly ass bitch. Their kids became something that they never wanted them to be. They went from being a boy to a girl. Some of them can't even wipe their own ass. I think most people who cross us that day suffer every day. They probably wake up every morning and say, Lord, today will be a good day to die. It was an attorney that I helped out, paid for his children in college, paid for everything that he, who he is today, and live the life he did because of me and then Tupac. And all these years, I never knew he participated in the assassination of both of us. What's so sad about that, Tupac fired his attorney, and he fired another person. They took that, there was the perfect bait to get recruited to be against us. This guy used to always tell us, watch how you talk on the phone. The Fed's probably listening. Somebody's listening to get you in trouble. Do not talk on the phone. According to Michael Moore, who was in the car, his radio comes through, and the person, and somebody else says, got him, basically got us. And then this person says, which wasn't a black voice, he says, well, none of the homies, but it was more like a lawyer or a white guy, and says, don't talk on the radio, get off the air. Me, I jokingly joked about it when I found about this conversation at this prison where I'm at. Now I talked to this lawyer, I said, hey, they said a lawyer type of guy said that. That's something you would say. I never seen this guy get so agitated and angry. And he talks, he always, he a little short, ugly motherfucker with a big ass head. And usually when he talks to you, you gotta turn your head because his breath always smells like shit. Because I guess of the fake teeth and all the surgeries he had in his face. Looked like the real Joker. But he talks and he would talk, hey, Suge, how you doing? Like through his teeth. This particular time, when I was jokingly saying that, he said, that's not me. How come you probably say that? He got so excited like he was about to die. He said, I never had a walkie-talkie. I never had a radio. It could not be me that said that. He got so angry and frustrated about it, he made himself look guilty. So one day, he sent my boxes away, and another bigger person had them. And it was a blessing in disguise. Like somebody from up top sent it to me. And they said, hey, I'm going through the stuff, and I see this old school phone or something. I said, what old school phone? It's something. I said, what, like a walkie-talkie radio? I said, you know what? I don't want you stepping into something you have no business stepping into, because it might be real critical. This sounds like a serious situation. I knew I felt it. I felt it. So I said, take a picture of it and send it to my tablet. When they sent it to my tablet, I went from angry to concerned to saying, I know why this motherfucker don't want me out of prison. Because it's going to be trouble. So I doubled down and called him back. Say, hey, thought you said you never had a radio. You never had a walkie-talkie. But I found your radio. I found your motherfucking walkie-talkie. You hid it in my legal work. Idiot. He didn't want to represent me anymore. He didn't want to talk to me anymore. He went to the state bar to get them on me, and I haven't did nothing wrong. To say he cannot represent me. The communication would never be the same. All because he got caught with his motherfucking hand in a cookie jar. So you tell me, it seemed like Pockets coming from the dead and laying all the facts out itself. You tell me, this gonna be the trial of the century. I mean, you gotta remember one thing. I remind you guys of something. Ray J, well, I'm not gonna even say names. This artist went to this other guy supposed to be his manager or whatever he's supposed to be. And he put this here. Not Corey from the South Side, but Corey from New York. Said, hey, Puffy, got to get this resolved. Keffe D is threatening to run his mouth. But I don't know why it's a big deal. Keffe D been running his mouth. And if don't nobody do anything to get him out, he got a lot to talk about. All of a sudden, another guy goes to bail Keffe D out. The excuses was, oh, I want to do a documentary on him. Oh, we want him out because we want to do maybe even a movie on him. Don't be stupid, stupid. The motherfucker already did a book. Keefe D. If you want to do a doc, anything he had to say, he said it already in the book. So you don't need him. You already have the book. The real reason why they wanted him out is because they didn't want him running his mouth. Then the lawyers tried to bully me. Now, I know I said this before, but hey, they really tried to bully the bully. I ain't going for that shit. They tell me, hey, we know you don't like the county jail, but if you don't give a declaration saying he wasn't there, we bring you down to Las Vegas County Jail and fuck up your program. And then they double down. They double down to the point where they offered me $1 million. Then what makes the facts so factual, because you'll take Rat James, to bring on your show. Why? How would Rat James know, or maybe he did know, that these lawyers offer me $1 million, to say he wasn't there? What that had to do with you, and how would you know, and who is who? You only been a street punk. You never had nothing nice in your life. You only been known as an alcoholic, drunk, smoke crack and primos, and telling everybody. And come from being an abused young man, getting sexually abused until you moved to the neighborhood in '82. That's a long time of sexual abuse, but I'm not making fun of sexual abuse because there are real victims out there. But it's still not fair to him. So I apologize to him for saying those things, because I shouldn't make fun of him, because it's true. Give my apology, James. Let the past be the past. Let's move forward. Now, to the point where I contacted this lawyer. Say, hey, it's not ethical. It's not legal. But you fucking with the wrong one if you think for some change, I don't give a fuck how much the money is, that I will betray Tupac. My loyalty can never be compromised. Always the same. I believe what I believe in. I stand up what I stand up for. But back to all the circle of the situation. So that wasn't true about Bill and Keefe D out for that. Why would Corey personally give money to Keefe D's son? Why would the lawyers be meeting with Keefe D's son? After I told that lawyer, 702 lawyer, and got on the situation, and he knew I was reaching out to him, he got off the case. Why would someone who has nothing to do or didn't know Keefe D at the time, never met Tupac, never met myself, and they're gonna pay for Keefe D's lawyer? They're gonna always get involved in all this shit? Why is everybody behind the scenes trying to pay for this? Me personally, I put Puffy in my prayers. And you guys might think it's jokingly, but boy, if you allow those motherfuckers to do what they do, you're gonna be in trouble. Because at the end of the day, hopefully, if I was him, I'd rather tell the judge, you know what, let me go and get this 5 out the way. Let me get this 10-piece out the way. By then, Keefe D trial will be over and you'll be forgotten. But if you walk away scot-free, Keefe D and the rest of those guys are going to turn on you. And it's different when you go in front of a jury and you the guy that make people dance. You the guy that make people laugh. You the guy that twerk. Then now they want to attach you the guy who paid for Tupac to get killed. Don't play with these people, Puffy. All along, when you look at this, times have changed so much. I always felt that power is calm. Power is like the water, settled, loud and angry and all these things everybody do. That's a sign of fear. We're going through difficult times all around the United States. I always say a lot of so-called men nowadays is their favorite position to sleep is on their stomach. Even if you got a bitch, I don't think it's sexy if your bitch coming out the shower drying off and pussy wet, and you naked laying on your stomach. There's nothing she can do to get you excited. Me, I be laying on my back, on my side, for letting know it's time to whatever they want to do. But now a lot of these guys is laying on their stomach and they waiting. But when it's all said and done, it was up to me. It's not up to me. I think this should be a real power learning experience for the culture of hip hop, for the culture of our people, especially ones in the city, in the ghetto. Everybody's making all these allegations. Everybody doing all these platforms to speak about. Either they speaking about stuff they wasn't there and they act like they was there, which is wrong, or they speaking about stuff to mess up the investigation. Let things play out the way they're supposed to play out. A lot of people have been trying to get a lot of views by going viral. All the people who've been involved have been trying to get these views by going viral, either lying on myself or talking about Pac who they never met, or if they did meet him, because a lot of people do know Pac, but they never had a real conversation with Tupac. However the case may be, watch what you really wish for. Some people say, God, I just want to be famous. Guess what? He answered your prayer. Now you can explain why you didn't want nobody to have guns. Now you can explain why you trying to build Keffe D out. Now you can explain why y'all gave Keffe D's son money. You can explain all this stuff. And you can smile and you know, a lot of you guys, I don't get to really see podcasts sitting in prison, but on my tablet, they have news clippings sometimes. And I see the ones men who photoshopping their face and putting up on makeup. Now you can be your own star. But one thing I would say, I am still not promoting for any of these people to go to prison and die in prison. I don't want to see Puffy die in prison. I don't want to see none of the others who's involved die in prison. But I do want justice for the name Tupac. I do want Snoopy motherfucking ass to admit his part. I do want they look at the Dash recording and go what Dash said to put a knife in Snoop's back. I don't feel that Snoopy should be mad at Warren G. Warren G didn't know he was telling on Snoop and putting him 1,000% involved in the murder of Tupac. He didn't do it on purpose. Might have been stupid by talking too much, but he didn't do it on purpose. Corrupt said it best. He told us we couldn't go. Nate Dogg said, I'm going to go regardless. I just don't want to be around those niggas. If I ain't around those niggas, I won't get shot. What I do want, when they sent me to prison, found me guilty in 96, 97, whatever time was that, two security said I didn't do nothing but help save the people's life and then help the casino. A lady named Machuca, security guard, said I hit the guy 10 times and kicked him 10 times. And people played that on their platform and didn't play the rest. The rest of it was show us in the video where Mr. Knight doing the things you said he did. She started crying and said he didn't do nothing. The DA right there told me to lie on Mr. Knight. We had to take a break. They in court that day. I should have walked. When Orlando Anderson said I didn't do nothing to save his life. When law enforcement got on platforms and says that I paid Orlando Anderson a lie, which that's not true because I did pay Orlando Anderson, not because he got on the stand for me, because he sued Tupac for busting him in his motherfucking mouth. And I didn't want Tupac's mother to have to deal with them taking money from her. So I did the honorable, manly thing to do and stepped up and took care of it. When crooked cops tried to change the truth, because they know I should be free. Reason why that case is so important, a detective got on the stand on the oath and lied and said that they didn't know Baby Lane or any of these guys participated in the shooting of Tupac. They didn't want to tell the truth because they would have to let me go. It was guys who was on parole, all of them. Nobody got a violation because they didn't want to charge anybody with anything because we all had to go on trial. If we all went on trial, I'd have got acquitted. They got what they wanted out of it. When they couldn't kill me, but they was able to kill Tupac, they framed me. They blamed me. They said I'm the one to kill Tupac. 30 years. I never said anything different. Because I know the truth. I know God know the truth. And I know Pac know the truth. And I also know what Pac said, what we did, and how well he was doing. I also know what Frank told me. He admitted to everything. Everything. God bless his soul. Long live Tupac. It's not a day that don't go by I don't think about him. And it's not a day I don't enjoy myself in prison. But for young motherfuckers, don't get it fucked up. My worst day on the streets is still better than my best day in prison.
Let me ask you this. Since you've been in prison, have you been approached to testify against Keffe D?
Lots of times. They talked to my lawyers in Vegas, Richard Scheinfeld, David Chasnos, and they even reached out. But under no circumstances, no matter whatever the situation is, I don't have anything to do with that trial. I don't have anything to do, period. When it's all said and done, they have enough people they can talk to. They have had enough evidence they do know. Look, they got the check, they got the motive, they got the body. What the fuck will I have to do with any of it? I'm not the one for none of that. They talked bad about me, said that I never helped the investigation. never will. At the end of the day, shit, Keefe D stupid motherfucking ass told it in his book. He told it on podcasts. However it may be. But it ain't about pointing the finger. It ain't about constantly talking about it. The facts is this. A certain person supposed to hate Keefe D because he claims Keefe D was involved with the murder of Tupac. But this same person who claims that he really know Pac, but you don't, but he really know of me because he do, and he really worked for me because he did, but you knew with the word on the streets, you knew because you're connected to law enforcement, and your father, who was on the investigation, they took him off, knows. But still, you took Keefe D and said, hey, I'm going to give you a hug because you was involved with killing Tupac, and I know you was, your involvement. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bless you and hook you up with a book deal and get you some money. I'm going to put you on this culture roger Russian guy on this podcast more than once to get you some money. And there's another guy podcast he went on more than any of them. But I'm not going to say nothing bad about that guy because I think that guy is a good guy who does great things for the culture of our people and the culture of hip-hop. So I'm going to leave him anonymous. He went on his show maybe 6 times, or maybe 7. But none of these things would have happened if it's one for the guy who basically dropped the ball and Pac ended up dead. I ended up with a bullet in my head and shot somewhere else. And at the end, at the very, very end, caused me to lose a lot of money, a lot of time in prison. That's not the part that really gets me angry. What gets me angry the most is that I used to blame myself of the passing of my mother. My mother was the type of mother, she would never visit me. My mother used to come visit me on Mother's Day. You got other siblings. New Year's is my mother and father anniversary. They was married for 50-some years before my mother passed away. And my mother say, get ready, I'm going to visit my baby. And then when they get there, she'll tell me, your father said it's our anniversary. You should be worried about celebrating our anniversary instead of visiting our son. And my mother would look at my father and say, didn't I tell you, ugly motherfucker? My son come before everybody. And a lot of my humor I get from my mother. I definitely get the cousin from my mother. So, you know, my mother was so down. I was in prison. At that time, they'll let you do your hugs, your kisses, and your goodbye at the back of the wall. The back of the wall was a soda machine. So if I stand by that soda machine and somebody stand in front of me, I could do some things that even though my dick was harder than penitentiary steel, I'd be able to relieve myself. My mother was so down that my mother said, you boy, I know what you're doing, you baddest motherfucker. I'm not going to be looking, but I'll stand in front of you facing the police. And my mother gained weight. My mother said, you know, I ain't skinny no more. Shit, I didn't gain weight. You can't see around me. You get a few of your friends, shit, that girl can get on her knees. And I ain't putting the motherfucking bitch down because cigars to her. That made me feel for a long way back to strip out, put my clothes back on, and walk back to my cell smoking a cigar. But I would get my dick sucked in the head. So my next day, my mother comes in and my mother says, "You better watch this particular guy." And once again, we don't take this time to make fun of no one, but it is the truth. And I said, "You better watch this particular guy. I think they like you." So, Mama, you crazy? No, I'm not. That heifer, she might be pretty. That heifer come down there and she would suck your dick. And on the way out, you can't go to the restroom, you can't do nothing. We gotta walk to the car. And this guy would grab that heifer and stick his tongue down her throat and kiss her, knowing she didn't say nothing, knowing you just came in her mouth. And I used to go, "Mama," and my mama would laugh, and my mama would forgive, and my mama would love. Everything I learned from my mother is to forgive. So when my mother passed away, they wouldn't allow my mother to see me. My mother came to see me in the county jail, and the detective, maybe 10, 15 deep, rushed my mother out after 5 minutes when they supposed to be 15. She went from there to the hospital. When she got in the hospital, they kept her and they had to give her a feeder. Every day she would say she needed to leave to come see me. They said she couldn't leave the hospital. She begged the lawyers, the courts, the judges, "I'm stuck in the hospital. What's the difference? Talk to my son behind the glass that you record the conversation, or him calling me. I'm talking on the phone that you recording the conversation." Despite me, them being angry at me, my mother died. And I forgive those who lied on me. I forgive those who participated in the killing of my little brother Tupac. I forgive them framing me, stealing from me, trying to kill me more than once. But I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to fight to the very end. The first time I talked to you, I knew me being me come with a lot of stuff. A lot of attorneys get pressured. Some turn on me. Some could be a great attorney be forced to quit. I apologize to that attorney. I'm not going to say names. Not that I'm embarrassed or ashamed to say the name, or I know that when I do say their name, they come from them. My skin's so thick, I can make the most gangsters nigga turn to a bitch. As long as we in the room together. But your platform is great because your platform is just not touching one group of people. Your platform touches the people who participate in the war, in the world, not just the war. And you get so many people getting assassinated, you get so many people getting canceled. Said, love is stronger than anything. That's what we're missing.